Ever get that feeling? Like you're scrolling along, see something interesting, an article or something.
Oh, yeah.
And you think, oh, I should read that. And then boom.
Right into the to-read folder.
Gone, right? Into the abyss of all the saved links and the things you're going to read, but you never quite get around to.
It's like the digital graveyard of good intentions.
Exactly. And it's not just articles, right? Could be book recommendations, things that end up just kind of gathering dust on your nightstand. Well, today we are going on a deep dive into this phenomenon. And the YouTube channel, Lady of the Library, has this fantastic term for it, intellectual FOMO.
Yeah, the fear of missing out, but on knowledge.
Exactly. So that fear of missing out on knowledge, intellectual FOMO, that's what we're talking about today. Really trying to understand this impulse to accumulate all of this information.
Especially in today's world, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We are just bombarded with information.
It's everywhere.
So this deep dive, we're going to use primarily a video from Lady of the Library, she nails this, and try to understand this tendency to sort of hoard information.
Yeah, and think of this as your guide, okay, to understanding why you might be accumulating all these links, all these books, and maybe, just maybe, how to feel a little bit less overwhelmed by it, by that pressure to know everything.
Right, like we're not advocating for ignorance here.
No.
But it's about finding a healthier balance, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we're going to explore the why behind this behavior and maybe some of the not so obvious consequences of it.
Yeah, and I think a great place to start is this analogy that the video uses, and I think everyone can kind of relate to this, where she compares intellectual hoarding with more traditional forms of hoarding.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Like, you know, that overflowing inbox.
Oh, yeah.
Or just endlessly scrolling through social media.
Stop, it's too real.
Or even like, you know, that closet crammed with things you're convinced you might need someday.
Oh my goodness, the digital clutter is real. And the physical clutter, don't even get me started.
Right, but what the video then highlights is this shift to hoarding information.
Okay.
So it's not just physical stuff, it's those saved articles, the bookmarked pages, all those PDFs you've downloaded.
It's like a library of potential knowledge.
Exactly, and the intention, at least at the beginning, is a good one, right?
Yeah. You're not saving these things to be ignorant.
Phil, you want to learn.
Yeah.
You want to be more informed.
Exactly, yeah.
But as the video points out, this can kind of backfire.
Oh, for sure. And it becomes this monumental backlog, you know, and instead of feeling empowered by it, you just kind of start to feel paralyzed.
And maybe even a little guilty.
Oh, yeah. Like the sheer volume of it just becomes this barrier to even starting.
It's like you're intimidated by your own desire to learn.
Oh, it's ironic, right? And the video actually brings this to life with a story from the speaker's own PhD experience.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so she's talking about the overwhelming amount of reading you have to do for a PhD.
I can only imagine.
Not just the main texts,
right,
but all the secondary sources, and those lead to more sources, and it just becomes this massive web.
Like 97 tabs open on a laptop, right?
Exactly, 97 tabs.
That visual is just...
And then from that came this thing she calls footnote 4.
Footnote 4. Okay.
Which apparently became a research project all on its own.
Oh, wow. So it just goes to show, even in a setting where you're supposed to be learning so much, it can still be overwhelming.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's also this other aspect to it that the video touches on, and it's that little dopamine hit you get when you find a new resource.
Oh, I see.
It's like you're rewarding yourself for the act of finding information, not actually learning it.
So it's like the anticipation of knowledge rather than the knowledge itself.
Exactly. And that can be really tricky.
And it plays into this illusion of knowledge that the video talks about.
Right. So it's not just about having a lot of information. It's about how our brains sometimes trick us into thinking we know more than we do just because we have access to it.
Like having a massive library and being like, I'm an expert in all these topics.
Exactly. Even if you've only read the titles on the spines.
Right. And, you know, it's interesting. There's some research that suggests that organizing your saved stuff into folders can make this illusion even worse.
Really?
Yeah, because it gives you this false sense of control, like you've mastered the subject, even if you haven't actually read a single thing.
That's fascinating, and it kind of ties into this other concept, the Dunning-Kruger effect, right?
Well, yeah, the Dunning-Kruger effect. For those who might not be familiar, what is that exactly?
So it's this cognitive bias where people who are not very competent in a particular area tend to overestimate their abilities.
Okay.
And conversely, people who are actually very competent tend to underestimate themselves.
Got it.
The video uses this really interesting example, a study with middle school students.
Oh, I think I know this one. It involves a math problem.
Right, a completely nonsensical math problem.
Something about a ship captain's age, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And they have to calculate it based on like the number of sheep on board or something.
It's absurd, but here's the thing. Most of the students actually tried to calculate an answer.
Even though there wasn't enough information.
Exactly, and that's the point.
I love that.
It shows that we often prefer to give a wrong answer than to admit that we don't know.
And how does this connect back to our topic of information hoarding?
Well, the video suggests that it's similar to how we might just read headlines or summaries.
Oh, instead of the actual source material.
Right, because it gives us a surface-level understanding.
Which is enough to feel like we're in the loop.
Yeah, exactly. And it's easier than diving into the complexities.
And it's all compounded by this societal pressure to be knowledgeable, right?
Absolutely.
It's like you're expected to have an opinion on everything, to be up to date on every single trend.
And the internet just makes it so much worse.
Oh, because it's this infinite scroll of information.
Right, and that constant influx just highlights how much we don't know.
And feeds into that FOMO even more.
Exactly.
And the video does a great job of breaking down the specific fears that are at play here.
Oh, yeah, it's not just about wanting to learn.
It goes deeper than that.
Much deeper. It's the fear of judgment, the fear of missing out, not being part of the conversation.
Right.
Fear of how others will perceive us.
If we don't know something, yeah.
Exactly. And then there's this underlying fear of not knowing.
Which is like the root of it all.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing, and the video makes this point very clear. Just accumulating information, it's not enough.
It's like having a pantry full of food but never actually cooking anything.
Okay.
Or having a gym membership but never gone...
Right, you got to actually use the information, right?
You have to engage with it, process it, make it your own.
So knowledge is for digesting, not just collecting, as the video says.
Exactly, and she gives a great analogy. Overeating.
If you consume a huge amount of food, it doesn't necessarily make you healthier.
You could get sick, yeah.
Right. You can actually harm yourself.
So what are some things that we can do to actually combat this? Because the video talks about some strategies.
Yeah, the speaker shares her personal approach. She has this read later system with a strict deadline.
Oh, tell me more.
So anything she says during the week has to be read by Sunday evening or it gets deleted.
Oh, wow. That's ruthless.
It is, but it's effective.
I can see that, yeah.
It forces you to make a decision to actually engage with the material.
Yeah, and recognize that our time and attention are finite.
Exactly.
And she also mentions trying to read more physical books, kind of a shift away from the digital.
Yeah, and she highlights some platforms like Substack and Flipboard as being maybe a bit more curated.
So it's about being more intentional about our information diet, right?
Absolutely. Choosing quality over quantity. Exactly. So I want to bring this back to you, the listener, because the video ends with some really powerful questions. Do you relate to this idea of intellectual FOMO?
Right. Think about it.
What are the areas where you feel the most pressure to be in the know?
What are you saving but never actually getting around to?
Yeah, and these are really important questions to reflect on.
They are.
So let's wrap this up. We've explored intellectual FOMO, how this pressure to know everything leads us to accumulate tons of unread content.
And how that can create this illusion of knowledge without the actual understanding.
Exactly. It's all about recognizing that difference between gathering information and actually engaging with it.
And that's a crucial first step.
Now, as you go about your week, think about this.
Yeah.
What's one small thing you can do to shift from being a collector to an actual learner?
Maybe revisit one of those saved articles.
Not out of obligation, but out of genuine interest.
Exactly. You might be surprised by what you find.
And who knows, you might even find a little bit of peace in letting go of that pressure to know absolutely everything.
It's a journey, for sure.
It is.
But a worthwhile one.